This is a stirrup keeper that I put together for a quick saddle. Well, quickly put together for a saddle. And I'm going to be making a second one, because my first attempt I skived too thin, and upon tightening it up, the leather bust. So let's get to work. Just gonna eyeball where on my leather that's gonna work, and what I think I'm gonna do is cut that off from there. So I've got my round knife here, nice and scary sharp, and I'm just gonna keep my hands back behind it and just separate out that chunk. That should work. Yeah, that'll be plenty. Very good. Now I'm just going to use the old one as my pattern. Trace along with an awl, describe the old piece into the leather. And that'll give me something to cut along to get effectively a replica of the other one. Mark our holes. Very good. And as for this end here, we have about a thumb's width of extra overhang. So what I'm going to do is use my thumb, my finger, kind of eyeball it. Just keep it straight. There we go. That'll work. Good enough. Awesome. I've got the round knife back out again. I'm going to cut this out, keeping my fingers well behind that blade. And just take your time when you use this tool. This tool is about, I would consider the round knife to be the calligraphy pen of leatherwork. You don't use it because you're in a rush. If I was looking to go fast, frankly, I'd use an Olfin knife. If I need a sharp blade, I crack it off, dispose of the old one, and away I go. But the round knife, or head knife as it's also known as, is a very traditional tool that comes in many different shapes. This is the Al Stolman version from Tandy Leather. Fairly off-the-shelf version of the tool, but I've modified it slightly to make it more suit my needs, primarily being just rounded off the end, as the one that you get off the shelf has blocky corners that, frankly, I didn't find very comfortable. But you use these tools for the sole enjoyment of using them. And sure, some people might be able to use them at the velocity to make a good living. But I am not one of those people yet. Now, I still have a little bit left here. Away that goes. Now I have my earplugs in, because we like to protect our hearing. I'm going to use this round end punch to separate out the piece from the rest of the material. There we are. Beautiful. Those round end punches are excellent for taking work to the next level. Quick, clean, professional. Very good. And consistent. I've got my 5/32 hole punch. Some might say it's a little big for this application, to which I say, oh well. I'd rather have it fit comfortably than be fighting with something to get it to work. Now, I'm not sure if the camera can see it or not, but this piece of leather has almost a natural taper down to that end. And what I think I'm going to do is just call that acceptable for putting in our little buckle. So that way the leather still has plenty of body to it and strength. So, next, I'm going to bevel the edges with my edge beveler. Oops, get back here. There we are. Going to now punch the hole for a rivet to hold our buckle on. And I'm just going to fold that over and use my rotary punch. Give that a twist. Helps free the material. Very good. Now for the slot of the buckle, I'm going to go 2 steps up on the rotary punch. I'm going to punch a second hole just slightly up from where the initial one was. And now I'm going to use my Olfa knife and just clean up those edges. Now you can see we've made effectively an oblong for that tongue of the buckle to sit in. And while it might look slightly rough laid out like that, you fold it over after some time and use, not going to be able to tell the difference. All right, now we are moving on to dyeing the project. I've got an oil-based saddle tan that starts looking fairly dark and then lightens over time and then darkens again after some use. But it's quite a lovely color. I do like this dye in particular. David, why aren't you wearing gloves when you're using leather dye? 'Cause I'm a savage. Probably should wear gloves using a dye that's designed to soak into skin. But I'm gonna just be careful. Get the edges. When you dip your brush, similar to using paint, if you have excess dye on your brush or dauber, whatever it is you're using, I'm using brushes right now, as that's what I have available. You can touch the brush to the inside of the reservoir wall and help some of that excess dye just keep from getting all over the place. Now, on the note of dye all over the place, I like to think that it's kind of one of those rites of passage for leatherwork. A good, proper dye mishap. And those that have had them know what I'm talking about. There we are. Beautiful. Put the lid back on that very carefully so we don't spill any. And that goes back behind there. Alright. Now we're going to use our gum tragacanth and our slicker to slick down the edges. And what this does is help seal in all the fibers. Keep from any frizz happening or any sort of water penetration from the edge. And I just like to dip my finger in it and kind of run it along the edge. And then you just slick the devil out of it. It's not pressure that you're aiming for in this activity, but friction. It's the combination of the friction and whatever compound you're using. If you're using a compound, sometimes you can just use water, or sometimes even just a good stiff piece of canvas cloth does the job very well. But that's what slicks down the edges, is friction. And you'll know you're almost there when it starts to click. And you'll hear what it is I'm talking about in a moment. Hear that click? And that's how you know you've got it. Now we'll do our other side. There's a movie going upstairs. And we're just going to keep going till we hear that click. There we go. Getting there. There we are. That's plenty. And now you can, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but now the edge has quite the lovely sheen to it. And again, that's just one of those activities that helps take things to the next level. So now we're going to set our buckle. So we'll feed it into the project. There we are. Take our rivet. Put that into the hole that we made. And fit the cap. And that one's a little bit big. Let me see what other side Perhaps that will have to do. Looks like I need to acquire some more rivets. Speaking of new acquisitions, this is an arbor press, and it is the newest acquisition to my workshop. Now, one thing about this one in particular is they have a hole drilled in this base. They also have a hole drilled in the top part of this post. You can see just on the edge up here. Now, I've flipped the post over for now so that I have a flat bottom for setting rivets. I'm going to use this knife blank that I have sitting in my desk. That should work. So we'll bring this down till about onto the rivet. Oh, might need a bigger anvil. Oh, wait, that ought to work. If I get it to right about there. Very good. And now I just push down, and that'll set our rivet. Very satisfying. This guy does a good job of it. I'm going to go a little bit further with it. There we are. Now we've got a good tight rivet. Nice and flat. I'll just move this aside. Grab a little bit of finishing oil, which is really just neat's foot oil compound that I've added a bit of coffee grounds to. I use an old oily brush. And I like to give little projects like that, especially brown ones, nice little once over to help deepen the color, give it a little bit extra life. And then what I'll do is I'll come in with my leather better. I'm not paid to say this, but this stuff is just excellent. Whether for belts, shoes, coats or couches, or stirrup keepers. This is a really great sort of top coat that is all natural and doesn't leave any sort of acrylic finish. It's primarily beeswax and citrus oil, I believe. I'm not sure what else goes into it, but as you'll see in a moment, when you warm it up and you rub it into the pores of the leather, gives it a slight shimmer. It'll be waterproofed and just help seal in that oil and the dye. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our completed stirrup keeper. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But every one you do, you'll get better. So now we'll install our other one back on. There we are. Very good. And we'll do our new one. And on the left side of this saddle will live our new keeper. Oops. I like to put the buckle towards the rear so that way the tongue sits towards the back of the saddle. And what that does is will help prevent any sort of sticks or anything from dislodging it from the buckle. Oops. A little bit tight still. There we are. Excellent. Just position that so that it looks nice. There we have it. be on to these stirrups next to clean them up, and then this saddle will be ready to go back on a horse, hit the market, and it'll have brand new keepers. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like. Don't if you don't, I guess. Have a good day. Bye-bye.